In this video, we are going to be looking at the fall and how historically dry it was. We're going to be looking at this for the New York metropolitan area, fall 2024 precipitation, and notice how for 5 sites it's record dry: Newark, Kennedy Airport, Wilmington, Hartford, Allentown. And when you look at the November precipitation, you can even see that like Kennedy is above average in precipitation. The others are below, but like notice how Kennedy is above average. So it really strikes me, a bit weird as to how this happens. But when you look at September and October and how historically dry they were, you'll see why. Looking at the 6 metropolitan area sites, that we have here, Islip had 3.7 inches of rain. That's the second driest fall on record. 3.74 at Bridgeport. That's the second driest on record. Newark is 3.81 inches of rain for the driest. Kennedy 4.13. That's still, their driest fall on record. LaGuardia is 4.34 inches of rain for their second driest fall on record. Central Park is fourth. With 4.94 inches of rain, and they had the most rain out of anyone in the metropolitan area. Actually, did they? Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. And looking at this, there's obviously like some differences depending on where you are precisely, but you can still see it's very dry. But how did this happen? Because look at November precipitation. New Jersey in November has 2.92 inches of rain. That's 88% of normal. Bridgeport has 2.9 inches of rain. That's 93% of normal. Central Park has 3.35 inches of rain through the month of November. That's 94% of normal. LaGuardia has 3 inches of rain. That's 95% of normal. 3.34 inches of rain at Islip. That's 98% of normal. Kennedy Airport has 3.14 inches of rain. That's 102% of normal. So November precipitation across the metro area, it all falls in the near average category pretty much because everywhere, was within like 15% of average. But October kills us. Because look at the October 2024 precipitation. A trace at Newark, 0.01 at Central Park, 0.01 at LaGuardia, 0.01 at Kennedy, 0.12 at Islip, 0.16 at Bridgeport. Everywhere has the driest October on record, and except at Bridgeport, where it's the second driest month on record, it is the driest month on record at all of these sites. We don't even need to dissect October further. I mean, we'll look at the now data, of course. But September, you also have to look at it. Islip, dry September on record at 0.24 inches of rain. We see the same story at Wilmington, but, it's only those 2 sites. But many places are still up there. Bridgeport is only 0.68 inches of rain. That's their fourth dry September on record. Newark, 0.89 inches of rain for their third dry September on record. Kennedy Airport, fourth driest on record at 0.98 inches of rain. LaGuardia Airport, 1.33 inches of rain in the month of September, and that's going to bring them to the 10th driest. Central Park avoids the top 10 with 1.58 inches of rain, and they by far had the most rain out of anyone in September across the metro area. They actually were lucky enough to avoid their top 10, 20 even. But everywhere else is a different story, partially because of a shorter period of record, but partially because of just, how historically dry it was. So, looking at the drought monitor, which was released on the 27th and accurate as of the 26th, we see that we have severe drought covering our entire area. We have extreme drought over in most of the Philadelphia area. Moderate drought, in parts of extreme southern New England and far upstate, but we can see that drought has deteriorated. Especially considering, what it was 3 months ago, where drought across that area was pretty much non-existent. How everything has just changed. It's been stunning how bad our drought was. To go back to this, we have to go back to August, but not really. It's just one thing to look at. I'm just going to show you Central Park's data so you can start to see how, October was a wet month, and it was the same across the area. Wet month, bit of a dry finish, though. After the 19th, you're really not seeing any big precipitation. 0.34 at New York City past the 19th. At Islip, it's, looks like it's 0.06 inches of rain. Bridgeport, they're going to get they actually get the most. They get 0.91 inches of rain because they have a big storm on the 26th. Kennedy Airport, they're looking at 0.31 inches of rain following the 19th. Newark, they are looking at actually a lot too. They're looking at 0.78. But again, a relatively dry end to the month of August. And then we're just going to go up the other way, looking at September. September, you have this one storm that crosses through on the 7th that doesn't dump a lot of rain, and then you're really stuck until the 23rd. The pattern does allow for rain from the 26th to the 29th off of the remnants of Hurricane Helene. But where you see rain, it really depends, because you only have 0.8 inches of rain off of Helene in Newark. And that's, again, the bulk of the rain that you get in September. That's why they're so far below average. Notice Central Park, though. They get 0.78 inches of rain on just the 29th. And they get 0.26 on the 28th. From this whole storm system, they capitalize nicely. They got 1.3 inches of rain. And then you counter in the fact that on the 7th, they actually got more significant rain from the storm crossing through. Yeah, I could see why it wasn't so historically dry there. They actually got kind of lucky. Kennedy Airport, they got a bit lucky with the storm on the 7th too. But again, just really not squirting much out of Helene. But they do get a half inch on the 29th. So they finish off, Helene at about 0.78 inches of rain. That's how they get almost an inch through the month. LaGuardia Airport, they do nicely, LaGuardia, on a storm on the 7th, getting a third of an inch of rain. And they do get 0.73 from Helene. That really helps them out there. It's on the 29th. So they, from Helene, get, I think, exactly an inch, actually, out of it. Looking at Islip, though, the poorest area, they get a quarter inch of rain. Because from Helene, they don't get anything on the 29th because it's all, it doesn't really extend past Wantagh. And, the storm, Islip actually gets something on the 1st, which no one else does. But they only get 0.03 on the 7th only. So that's really just meager precipitation. 0.03 on the 26th. The 27th is 0.02, then 0.13. That's all you get. They barely got anything from Helene. They got 0.18 inches, and that's why Islip is the worst off. Bridgeport, meanwhile, they got again 0.04 on the 1st, but they're still really poor off because Helene does not really do much of anything productive. Their rainy stay is actually the 26th, which is a little bit weird to me, and that's why Bridgeport is so poor off. Looking at the 10th, you don't really get anything. You have the storm on the 7th that brings 0.16 to Bridgeport and brings 0.1 to Islip, and everything else is just so meager that even though it exists, it's pretty much negligible. Again, 0.01. We have time here because the Eagles-Ravens game is going to be starting soon, and I'm an Eagles fan, so I want to watch that. So we're just going to head into November really quickly. November, looking at Newark, again, you start off pretty poor off, 0.19, and then this is where it happens. Some places see record rainfall on the 21st, 1.43 at Newark. And then you see, again, it lingers into the 22nd, and then you get some storms on the 26th and 28th to bring you through, and that's actually how, you can get to near average levels. Central Park, similar story, the 1.57 that breaks a record. A lot of lingering rains on the 22nd. 26th, there's some showers, and in the 28th, you get 0.86 inches of rain, plus the 0.18 that you get earlier on in the month. At LaGuardia Airport, similar story. It doesn't really start off best, but you have an inch on Thanksgiving, 0.35 on the 26th. You get 1.7 inches of rain from that big storm crossing through, so you only get 0.13 from the storm around Veterans Day weekend. You can actually still capitalize quite nicely, and that's actually where they finished above normal, and that was Kennedy. LaGuardia, meanwhile, 0.16 from that storm, but then you get 1.28 inches of rain on the 28th, which isn't a lot, but then you get more on the 22nd, and that brings you up to 1.8, and then you get over an inch of rain to close out the month. That's really helpful. At Islip, where you get 0.23 to start off, and then you get 2.26 inches of rain. Don't know if it's a record, but it should be. of rain, and then even though the 22nd and 23rd die down significantly, and you don't get a ton throughout the end of the month, it's still enough to be 3.34 because they really got some heavy rain bands on the 21st. Bridgeport, doesn't exactly have the hottest start with 0.21 to start off the month, 0.2 Veterans Day weekend. They got 0.01 from the first, which was a trace for everyone else, and then again though, you're looking at it like over an inch and a half of rain from the 21st to 22nd, and then over almost an inch of rain to close out the month. But even though November was near average, you looked at how there was very few other opportunities. That's mainly how it was so dry for fall.